This stream is proudly supported by the Institute's national corporate partners, BlueScope, Dulux, Brickworks, Bondor, Lysart, Fielders, Bosch, Built Environment Channel, NBS, Planned Cover, Architecture Media, and the Queensland major state partner, Hutchinson Builders.
Well, good evening and welcome to the 2021 Central Queensland Regional Architecture Awards. I'm Viv O'Connell and it's my pleasure to be hosting these awards tonight. Not only for the Institute's members who are celebrating right now at Dingle's Cafe and Bar in Rockhampton, but to everyone joining us, wherever you may be. I hope you all enjoy your night. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of country throughout Queensland and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and community. I would like to acknowledge the Darumbal people, traditional owners of the region, and I pay my respect to the elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the traditions, the culture and hopes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples across the nation. Well, tonight's awards are part of the Australian Institute of Architects' prestigious National Awards program. Each of the regional commendation recipients announced tonight will progress through to the Queensland State Awards shortlist. Good luck to you all. I'd like to thank the Institute's national corporate partners, including principal partner BlueScope, for their support of the awards program across the country. And I'd also like to give a special thanks to the Queensland chapter major sponsor, Hutchinson Builders, and the local partners, Anderson Engineers, Janes and Stewart Structures, and Lysart NQNT. And now to set the scene, I'd like to hand over to the Institute's National President, Alice Hampson.
Awards celebrate professional excellence, but they're also deeply embedded in the profession's concern for the public interest, showcasing what we proffer to individuals, communities, businesses, governments, and our shared futures. Spaces and places imbued with greater beauty, amenity, and humane qualities perspicuously improve our cities, towns, rural landscapes, and most importantly, improve lives. Collectively, the awarded works tonight exhibit the richness, intelligence, visceral qualities, complexity, individuality, and the delight of regional architecture. Queensland is a vast place, the world's sixth largest subnational polity. If it were an island, it would be the world's second largest behind Greenland. As an independent nation, it would be amongst the world's 20th largest in geographical area. Bigger than the whole of South Africa, bigger than any US state, bigger than any Canadian province. Its borders could accommodate all of France, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, Switzerland, Italy, Austria and Poland. Queensland is staggering not just for its sheer size, but for its decentralisation, the only mainland state where over half the population live outside the capital. It boasts 1/3 of Australia's 30 most populous cities, including the largest city located in the northern half of Australia's continental landmass, that's Townsville, and Australia's largest inland city apart from Canberra, that's Toowoomba. It includes the two largest tropical cities in Australia, Townsville and Cairns, each of them outsizing their nearest rival, Darwin. The state's capital and its largest city, Brisbane, is located in the lower extreme right-hand corner. Other state capitals tend to be situated roughly at the midpoint of their state's maritime edges, but Brisbane is situated within the first 100 kilometres of a coastline which stretches for another staggering 6,300 kilometres. Brisbane is closer to Canberra than Townsville, closer to Melbourne than Cairns, closer to Adelaide than Normanton, closer to Hobart than Thursday Island. These unique features of Queensland's geography combine with an unmatched beauty and diversity of terrain and climate to create an architectural canvas which exists nowhere else in the world. For our Institute's Architecture Awards, Queensland is apportioned into 7 regions: Far North Queensland, North Queensland, Central Queensland, Darling Downs, West Moreton, Gold Coast, Northern Rivers, Sunshine Coast and Brisbane. Queensland's regional awards have been prospering vigorously since inception over 35 years ago and holds the highest reputation within each and every region with architects, industry, governments, media, community, sponsors and clients. I'd like to wish all the entrants every success in tonight's awards. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. And with a message for all of tonight's entrants, Queensland Chapter President Michael Lavery has sent through this message.
This year, I have a very simple message. I want to thank all of our clients. By making the commitment to work with an architect, you have made yourselves our greatest advocates. I hope you feel like you've already been rewarded by our knowledge and skills in delivering more than you expected. And to our entrants, congratulations in advance. I look forward to seeing all of the awarded projects at the State Awards in June. But for now, let's celebrate the regions.
Thanks, Michael. Well, as Alice mentioned, Queensland covers a vast area, and a team of 65 jurors were involved in the Regional Awards judging process this year, visiting every project that was entered. And to tell us a little bit about the deliberations across the regions, I'd like to hand over to the Queensland Chair of Juries, Eloise Atkinson.
Thanks, Viv, and thank you everyone for joining us. The role of Chair of Duties this year has certainly been a different experience to 2020. Last year, when I had the pleasure of being Deputy to Richard Colson, we were judging projects on Zoom with all entrants working hard to explain the quality of light and space of their projects while we sat at home trying to imagine. This year, we've had the opportunity to visit projects as far north as Cairns, as far west as Winton, and as you all know, there's no substitute for experiencing architecture. In our conversations with regional juries, there have been a few common themes. Perhaps the most significant is the commitment of doing more with less. Sometimes this has been out of necessity, but even with the projects with the healthy budget, there have been conversations with clients about just building what's needed. We've also seen across all categories the embracing of vegetation and landscape. There have been incredibly lush green environments integrated into commercial, education and public projects, as well as the houses. Perhaps some of this attention on landscape and vegetation is a response to COVID. The rethinking of the relationship between home and work has been amplified, with all residential projects considering the reality of how to accommodate whole households working from home. And perhaps more surprisingly, all commercial projects have been looking at how to bring the pleasures of working at home to the office. The calibre of the 107 projects is impressive. However, the number of projects entered has been slowly decreasing over the last 5 years, which is disappointing. Hopefully this is a reflection on the fact that many of the practices are very busy and haven't had enough time to enter their projects, rather than a trend reflecting the lack of projects being funded, particularly in the public sphere. Every visit has reminded me of the importance of good design and the value that architects can bring, particularly to tricky sites and complex briefs across all project types. The passion to achieve the best outcome for clients and the collegiality among members of the profession has been evident throughout our visits. Our unique awards program only exists because our colleagues are prepared to take time out of their practices and away from their projects to take part in the juries. It is an incredibly rewarding experience, meeting colleagues, discussing design ideas and processes, and having robust deliberations with the jury. But it also does take time. So on behalf of the entrants and the profession, I'd like to thank all of those who put their hands up, some year after year, to take part. And of course, the awards can only happen because our members participate and value the process and opinions of their peers. So can I say thank you to all the architectural practices for taking the time to submit their entries and for meeting with the juries. Good luck to each and every one of you and enjoy the night.
Thanks, Eloise. And now to say a few words and introduce tonight's nominees, I'd like to hand over to the Central Queensland Jury Chair, Brian Hooper.
Thank you, Viv, and hello everyone. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate all the CQ Awards entrants. As architects, we are all cognizant of the complexities that come with procuring and completing any built work. So just by entering your projects, you've been successful in that fact alone. Being involved in Queensland's unique awards program is an incredibly rewarding experience, and I recommend anyone who hasn't had the opportunity to be a juror to do so. This year I had the great pleasure of sharing CQ Regional Awards Jury's duties with the State Award Chair, Eloise Atkinson, State Deputy, Shai Tay, and lay juror, Professor Cameron Broome. The jury travelled over 3,500 kilometres, of which 1,200 of those was by road, visiting projects in Gingin, Calliope to the south, Rockhampton and Yeppoon on the coast, and all the way out to Longreach and Winton in Western Queensland. Some extremely robust discussions and great laughs were had on our journey. This year's entrants were extremely diverse and all exhibit an architectural rigour and commitment to improving the built environment. So on that note, let's review this year's Central Queensland Awards entries.
Calliope State High School, Stage 1 by Biscoe Wilson Architects. Waltzing Matilda Centre by Cox Architecture. Spyglasses Residence by Design Plus Architecture. Our House Wandle by Design Plus Architecture and N. Veenstra. Gingin Community Hub by DM2 Architecture. Qantas Founders Museum Longreach Air Park Project by the NRA Collaborative. And Mount Archer Approach and Amphitheatre by Design Plus Architecture. A great range of entrants, and thanks, Brian. And now let's take a look at the regional commendations for Central Queensland, all of which are going through to the State Awards shortlist. In the category of Public Architecture, Qantas Founders Museum Longreach Air Park Project by the NRA Collaborative. The Qantas Founders Outback Museum in Longreach tells the remarkable story and celebrates significant milestones in the history of Qantas, the airline established by locals from this area of outback Queensland in 1920. The latest addition to the institution's facilities is an impressive 8,072 square metre roof that shelters significant aeronautical artefacts on display. Formally, the roof resembles a giant folded paper plane gliding across the vast outback sky, and functionally, it works hard to create volume-free space that maximises shade and natural ventilation. Also receiving a commendation in the category of Public Architecture, Waltzing Matilda Centre by Cox Architecture. Banjo Patterson's Waltzing Matilda was first performed at the North Gregory Hotel in Winton in 1895, and the history and legacy of Banjo Patterson's song is celebrated at the Waltzing Matilda Centre, a purpose-built museum on Winton's urbane Main Street. The robust materials, bold forms and eye-catching details speak directly to the magnificent landscape that inspired Patterson, giving contemporary voice to the bush ballad's iconic characters. And in the category of Residential Architecture, Houses New, the jury have awarded a commendation to Our House Wandle by Design Plus Architecture and N. Veenstra. The figure ground diagram of this modest new house distinguishes it from the neighbouring dwellings in the established Rockhampton Gardens suburb of Wandle. The single-room deep plan creates a gateway between the open, street-side forecourt and the generous rear garden. And this siting strategy creates a spatial generosity that belies the petite building envelope. Congratulations to all the shortlisted projects. And now for the award announcements. And the jury have awarded the 2021 House of the Year to Our House Wandle by Design Plus Architecture and N. Veenstra. The architects describe Our House Wandle as a low-budget, family home with a difference, designed with sustainability, low maintenance and natural ventilation in mind. Having travelled extensively and become accustomed to using minimal space wisely, the young family client wanted their first home to reflect their love of the great outdoors and have a natural, rural feel, despite being located in a well-established Rockhampton suburb. Congratulations to Design Plus Architecture and N Veenstra. And now for the final announcement of the night and the highest honour in the Central Queensland Architecture Awards, the J.W. Wilson Award for Building of the Year. And the jury have awarded this prestigious award to Waltzing Matilda Centre by Cox Architecture. This institution is critical to the economic success and cultural life of the region, and the architecture of the new building is an evocative and memorable addition to the Waltzing Matilda folklore. Referencing the influence of the Outback's harsh magnificence on Patterson, the architecture adopts the landscape as its inspiration, abstracting it not in words but in material form by interpreting Winton's geological features, its ochre-tinged plains and the region's dry billabongs. Using metaphors of an ancient landscape, its striking forms and crafted tactile materiality draws visitors into a cool, gorge-like interior, an immersive sequence of towering and fluid spaces. Congratulations, Cox Architecture! Well, that brings us to the end of the Central Queensland Award announcements. I'd like to thank the jurors once again for all their efforts. Eloise Atkinson, Chair of Juries, Shai Tay, Deputy Chair of Juries, Brian Hooper, the Central Queensland Chair, and Cameron Bruhn. And congratulations once again to the award winners tonight and the shortlisted projects, which now progress through to the Queensland State Awards. Best of luck. And we'll be streaming those announcements live with live crosses to the winners on the 24th of June. I'd like to take this opportunity to once again thank the Institute's national corporate partners, including Principal Partner BlueScope and the Queensland Chapter Major Sponsor, Hutchinson Builders. And a special thanks once again to the local partners, Anderson Engineers, Janes and Stewart Structures and Lysart NQNT. To the members watching in Rockhampton right now, I hope the celebrations continue well into the night. And just a reminder that you can join us tomorrow night at 7 p.m. for the North Queensland Regional Architecture Awards announcements. In the meantime, thanks for joining me. It's been a pleasure to be your host. Good night.
This stream is proudly supported by the Institute's national corporate partners, BlueScope, Dulux, Brickworks, Bondor, Lysart, Fielders, Bosch, Built Environment Channel, NBS, Planned Cover, Architecture Media, and the Queensland Major State Partner, Hutchinson Builders.